Oh, did I set up my recording correctly? I guess I'll find out. But hello. It's currently 4 in the morning. I think I'm just having one of those nights where I just woke up hungry at 3 in the morning and then couldn't go back to bed. But it was something that's been bothering me lately, and it was mostly inspired by I guess the end of my term in like certain leadership positions, and then also uh, my major and other stuff to do with the people that I've been around. But I've been worried that I've been putting on a performance that has become like, disjoint, or that is no longer succinct with who I am as a person and who I actually want to be. And I think this is partially a function of the environment that I put myself in. I think we all have to put on a certain performance to be a professional, right? Like you can't just talk to people you randomly meet the same way that you talk to your friends, or talk to people in industry or your research or whatever, or even classes in the same way that you talk to, people that you're close with back home or your family. And we have all these different versions of yourself, which I don't think necessarily means that it's not your true self. Like these are all pieces of you in a genuine fashion. But it worries me when people like see someone who's angry or frustrated or going through something and like, this is your real self, this is your vulnerable true self. I'm like, no, this is just a person, this is just a piece of a person among so many other things. And when you have to put on a performance, when you're putting on a mask, so to speak, it doesn't mean that you're being disingenuous, so to speak. It's you're just matching the context at hand. You're fitting into a role, into an expectation, into how people want to interact with you, how they are familiar with interacting with you, and also how you want to be. A part of that is becoming the person that you want to be. And if you're somebody who says like fake it till you make it, or that if you are someone who's never going to be, if you are somebody who always does what they are capable of, then you're somebody who is never going to become something more than what you already are. If you say things like that, well, then you put on a performance too. Like you are trying to become something that you currently are not. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to become that thing, but you are pretending, right? You're LARPing, you're putting on a play, so to speak, right? Because we don't have it all figured out. It's all our first times living, so you need to emulate what you think is going to make you become the person that you want to become before you actually get there. And I think the big thing which actually influences this is like anxiety, right? Or you're scared of failure. You're in an environment that, right, our academics that raises you to be so scared of failure to do performance right the first time. But this is something that I tell like my kids, like not my actual kids, like the people that I teach, and it's that. And the reason why I do stuff that's not for credit is because like you should be in environments where you feel comfortable to fail, where you feel comfortable to learn and grow as an individual, because it's not a great environment where you feel scared to fail, and you are going to fail. When you study for an exam or homework, you don't have it all figured out, and you don't actually know what the answer is all the time. And I feel like that's why a lot of people lack that like genius mentality. At least when I was growing up, they told us that there was two forms of learners. There's the genius, and that's the person who needs to just solve problems, right? You put them in front of problems, they don't know what the solution is, and then they try to figure out what the answer is. And that is the person who's a genius type learner. And then there's everybody else. And that's like textbook learner, that's working off of existing knowledge. But generally speaking, you look at the answer, or you have somebody show you how to do it before, and then you emulate that. And then you try to extrapolate on that, or you reverse engineer from that. And I think that's completely understandable, right? That's how I learn personally. I'm not that genius type learner. I like to make a very informed decision. I try to get as much information as possible, and I go from there. But these genius type people often struggle in academia until they realize what their studying style is, because they don't remember why they're doing something. They're just plug and chugging, and then they need to grow as an individual to realize that I'm like, oh, you just need hands-on things. You need to have more opportunities to learn in a way that is fit for you. Like they do really good in labs. And the reason I say this is because like these are environments that are practical. Like in real life, they're not gonna fucking shoot you if you get one math problem wrong. It's like, oh, you just like look it up. You ask somebody for help. It's just like there's these things, punishment systems that exist that reward you for knowing information, but that's not how we retain information currently. There's a programming concept in C, in particular, where you have this thing called a pointer. You point to where the knowledge is, and then you just manipulate the pointer. It's easier than just always throwing around the knowledge and having to make so many different copies of this knowledge for every function call. Whatever, boring CS shit. But where this reflects to us in reality is like we have AI now. We have a browser in the same way where you had a library or you have textbooks and you thought, okay, I don't need to remember all this information because I'll always have the textbook available. I'll have the index or the glossary, etc. to be able to access this information. We had a browser. And the browser, like, okay, I don't need to remember all the information. I just need to remember how to access my browser, what to look up on my browser in order to find the information that I need. We have AI now, and I'm like, oh, I can always just ask AI. And it gets a little bit dangerous when you start using it as a replacement for critical thinking, for it to tell you the answers always, but you still need to be able to determine for yourself what the answer is. But in real life, we function with pointers. Like, we know where to find the answers. We know where to find the information. Like, we know to how to make an informed decision, and like we want to make an informed decision. We use that as a crutch, and that feeds into the cycle of I'm like I don't want failure, and it also like outsources your efforts, right? It takes pressure off of you. I'm like, oh, I just used AI to do it, like it wasn't me, like, oh, AI fucked up. It's like, it's just, oh, it's so great to have a scapegoat. But it also limits us as individuals for learning and thinking and remembering information because you didn't do it. And you have this false confidence, this notion that you're greater than you are because you're using this tool, and you always have this tool available. And you might not always have this tool available. I think that's another scary part of it too, where it's just, well, we don't know where the technology is going. Like right now, people are investing in it very heavily into infrastructure for the future, which, well, right now, like may or may not scale. We just don't know. So AI is a great tool, very powerful tool. You should learn how to use it, right? Because it's topical right now, and it might help get you into doors, windows, rooms, etc. right now. It might help you optimize your life and make you more productive right now. So these are good things to use it for, but I still don't think that you should still know where to find the answers in the event that you don't have the AI to help you. And this is just one step back, right? So using your browser, like way faster than a library, right? Is being able to search stuff up directly instead of finding a book that you think might have the answer and then looking through the book. But the AI might not always be around, so to speak, or it may not always be accessible for every single individual, and that's the scary part. So information wise, I'm like, you should still know where to find the answers at all these different levels, right? Hopefully you know how to read a book, all that shit. But the grand scheme of this was just, you need to have these environments where people are comfortable to fail, because, and also environments that emulate the learning that you're actually going to do in real life. It's like you're not always going to be sat down at a test and expected to reproduce information. Like, no, you're gonna always have access to the information. You need to be able to gather information and then solve a problem based off of it, which I guess the studying kind of helps does. Like, it gets rid of a lot of boilerplate. It's a fancy way of saying that, like, every single time, imagine every single time you needed to do a multiplication problem, you needed to relearn addition, right? So when you use information, hopefully you're actually retaining some of it. And that's what the studying is for, to teach you how, when you're learning and doing something and gathering information, to retain it. Because I'm telling you right now, doing the research, and I take 1 month away from the research to work on my other research because I'm trying to get in like to multiple labs, and I look back at my lab review after that month, I'm like, damn, I don't remember shit, and that sucks. But holy shit, crazy side tangent. But getting back to the performance side of things, I'm like, you don't give people this room to fail, this grace. I'm like, they don't learn. They learn to be under pressure. They learn to memorize things, but they don't learn to actually retain that knowledge. They just learn how to dump it onto a test. They learn how to gamify the test. Shit, I've been using ChatGPT to try to predict what's going to be on the exam, and frankly, it's been doing a very good job. I've been able to get by with very little, and that's honestly not a great thing. It kills the learning process. Like, I am very unexcited to learn a lot of the time. And this is kind of a flaw in the information age, where I'm like, they're scared of these tools like disappearing, or they're just scared to adapt infrastructurally because the government was very slow, because there's dissenting opinions and a lot of people involved in a democracy. And it's it's dangerous, right? It's because our education is flawed fundamentally, because it's way behind the way that people actually operate in the day-to-day. And that's why so many people fucking cheat, because it's rewarding behavior that is precise and mechanical and not flexible or dynamic, and it doesn't reward like actual learning or rewards replication, and replication and learning and problem solving, all very different things, which is what I found out. Like, I'm doing very poorly in my problem solving class. A lot of people do really poorly in that problem solving class. It's because that problem solving class rewards people who know how to solve problems, not people who can just regurgitate information. And that's a difference that people just aren't really like understanding. And that's why I love like CS in particular as a major. That's why I had to return to my roots, because fundamentally it's about solving problems, figuring out what problems we can solve with a computer, and how we can make a technology like a computer that can solve more problems. How do we make more powerful machines? That's what the current classes of informal languages and automata is all about. So very cool stuff. But the actual content of it, I don't really care about. So, and then, and that gets me back to the point of I'm doing this performative CS, where I'm like, I know where all the information is at, I know the reason why behind all the information, but I don't actually need to retain a lot of it, because I know I'll have these tools at my disposal, like my browser, and I can always relearn the material again. I guess it's just for learning, experiencing it once, and this failure model is something that is changing, you know. But wow, I keep saying I'm gonna track, and then I just don't. I just talk about education, how I feel like it's flawed, bro. But the other side of this, beyond the performance, that I think is completely normal, by the way, is that I feel like other people are aware of this performance, and that they purposefully let it down. Like, they're genuine when there's alcohol involved, or when they're tired, or when the rationale breaks down. But it's weird to have this like genuine self that's like honest and vulnerable, and that seems to express all the desires and the wants and the wishes of the individual, and then this like other self that just doesn't do that, which isn't transparent, and then acts in a way which seems completely disingenuous or disconnected from the person that they are. I'm having this particular problem. One, I have an ex, very avoidant attachment style, and she seems to only be able to express what she wants when pressure is placed on her, and that's just not how I like to operate. So I just don't do anything there. I'm giving up. But the other part of this is like, I have some friends that like they only open up when they're drunk, and and you hear things like they want to be a positive role model, or I think one of them might have a thing for one of my other friends, but I'm just not gonna unpack that. And or that they want to be a good mentor, or they want me to be more involved in things, and they feel guilty that they have been excluding me from certain stuff just because like they have prioritized other friends. And I think it's completely normal to have a ranking of friends and like a preference of people that you know. I like, frankly, I'm like, it's very clear to me that like I'm going to value my family over all other things, and it's not just a time commitment that determines my closeness to someone. It's how I feel about that person, right? It's that sense of closeness. Like, I've had girlfriends, right, and that girlfriend very quickly climbs the ranking, the hierarchy, over people that you've known for much longer. And it's like, oh wow, this guy's switching up on his day ones, but that was just a fucking feeling. And it's a different context where I'm like, you know, I'm not trying to romance, I'm not trying to fuck a lot of my friends, and my my thoughts have changed on it now, where at least I'm just like, I've tried to get past this premonition, and you start to look at relationships in phases. I'm like, it's getting, oh my, it's getting more difficult for me to, I don't want to say trust people, but to have this feeling of trust and confidence in someone so quickly. I'm losing my like love, like Filipino lover boy type vibe, and you know, that is what it is. But what that is to say is that there is this worry over the people's like genuine nature that I've been having, and it's also getting kind of gross to see with alcohol. Like, I had an ex, and like we, you know, things were fun at the start, you know, like fun, and then we had a dry spell, and the only time she seemed to like lust after me was when she was drunk, and that feels like a little uncomfortable, right? Because on one hand you look at that and it's just like, do they just not actually fuck with me? On the other hand, it's like, do you see that and I'm like, this person's suppressing their emotions when they're around me, or this person only feels like they can get loose when they're with alcohol, and or you're seeing someone as like they feel like they can only be genuine, or that they're supposed to open up when they're under the influence, or that they're suppressing all these feelings and their inhibitions are down, and they have this person that they want to let out and they can't, and they don't feel like they're comfortable enough around me, so they need to be intoxicated to let themselves out. Like, these are all things that you see in these people, and especially if you DD like me and you plan to be conscious around people when they aren't very functional, it gets a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. Like, seeing these people and how they operate, I'm like, dude, there's this one dude I was watching like cuddle this girl all night. This girl's like pretty like messed up. This guy has a girlfriend. On his like way there in the rideshare, this guy was talking about like his girlfriend, and he was worried about her, and for some reason he was texting us about it. And then we actually get to the funk. This guy is just cuddling some random other girl all night. Like, what's up with that? Is this his genuine self? Does he want to juggle these girls? This, I've never seen them cuddle like outside of this context, and I see them a good amount. Like, do they secretly just want to cuddle each other? Are they leading a double life? I'm like, it's just weird what intoxication does to these people. And I'm like, I guess that is the response that you'd get like under influence, right? But I'm just like, it's the thought of drunk actions are sober thoughts, or like sober thoughts are drunk actions. I'm just like, I'm seeing all these sides of people that I usually don't see because they have their walls up, and their walls up are up for like a reason, and it's uncomfortable. And I'm getting texts like, I'm sorry for like bringing you into this, or I'm like, I feel like I signed you up for more than you wanted, or I'm like, I feel really bad about XXX, and I just want to be there for this, and I want to include people. And now there's a group chat of a bunch of people like planning a hike. I'm like, all of this is just very weird. I'm like, I don't mean to be someone like, oh, I'm so emotionally mature, I'm really explicit, and I just say it how it is. But I'm like, it's okay to have a ranking of friends. It's okay to have different levels of trust and availability for people. It's okay to choose some people over other people, and it's also, you don't need to tell everyone everything. I've been talking to my friend, and he's been like going through like relationship shit because it's like all new for him. And one of the things I tell him is, I'm like, you don't need to tell your partner everything. There doesn't need to be anyone that you tell everything. I'm like, there's different versions of myself that I show to my parents and to my friends and to different types of my friends and to my sisters and everything. And that's just because this is a part of the performance, it's part of the context. And I'm like, I'm living my own life, and other people are living their lives, and I couldn't possibly show this person every single part of my life, of who I am as an individual, of every single part and aspect of me, because I'm like, if we could all do that, we would have omniscient people, you know. But it's like, we are all living our own lives, and and we are running unlimited time for multiple people writing to their own stories in concurrently, right? That's why I think it's so special to like spend time with people, to split time with people, honestly, so to speak, because like that's, you're writing a story and you're writing it in conjunction with your own perspective, of course, right? We're all unreliable narrators. You write unreliable narratives. I don't know, but I've been thinking about this performance, man, and it's something that I think about a lot. Like, at what point does the performance become you? Or are you synonymous with your performance? Are you succinct with your performance? And that's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs shit that I always talk about. That's the priorities that I always talk about. I'm like, are the steps that you are taking as an individual getting you closer to, well, becoming a more complete person? Or becoming the person that you actually want to become, that you want to be? I'm like, this is the question that you have to ask yourself. I'm like, damn. Whew. And the other part of it is about with like the genuine people. I'm like, something that kind of sucks is, I'm like, it's when you start reaching out more, when you start being more available as a person, it's like you start to wonder if these people are choosing you, or if these people feel pressure to be around you. One of the things that I don't like is putting pressure on people. And when you are somebody who is really like dedicated to your goals, or when you are somebody who's successful, that's pressure, because people see you as someone to look up to. People see you as a role model. Like, I really tried really hard, like leaving high school, because I was like, back then was when I was a model student and athlete, to get away from this pressure of these people that always see me as someone to look up to, and they want advice from you, and they feel this pressure from you, where it's just like they're living their life and they're questioning if they're living their life right, because you're living the life that they want, and they don't see you're behind the scenes. I'm like, ah, shit. Like, I have a friend that has a 4.0 GPA. He's in CS2. He's going to graduate before me as well. Like, you one would argue that he's objectively doing better than me, but he doesn't have the lab work on his resume. He doesn't have all the connections, the network, the people that I've talked to, the rooms that I've been in, and he wishes that he had all of that. And the projects too, and the project experience. And that's not reflected in my coursework, but that's reflected in my resume. And that's is a gap in his resume, and I wish that I had that 4.0 GPA, and he wishes he had the shit that I had. And that was a trade-off that I did relative to my own privilege that frankly he couldn't afford, because he needs that GPA for the scholarship. He needs his GPA as status, and he's really good at the studies right now, and he's using that as an opportunity to get more opportunities down the line. Like when you get into a master's program, that's when you can finally stop caring about your GPA, unless you're going for the PhD and you can, live a little. But this is context, and this is perspective, and it's not that you'll never be happy, but I'm just like, you make a trade-off. You can't have it all, and that's perspective. And I guess the numbers don't really lie about a performance, so to speak, but I lost my point in all of this, unfortunately. But it's something to think about, right? It's like, who is the person that you want to become? I made a decision to get... I'm not really... Actually, honestly, I didn't want to get C's. I was hoping to get B's this semester, at least. But, before that, I was like a straight A student. And then I suddenly decided that, hey, I want to put less effort in my classes and focus more on other things. And the other things that might be more valuable in my time in college. Like, I decided how I wanted to use my college context. And that's relative to my privilege, because I'm like, I don't have to worry about things like the finances or the food or the roof or how long it takes me to graduate. All just as a matter of privilege that I was born into. And some people will be really empowering, hey, shoot that shit, shoot your shot, or use your privilege. But other people will see that and be kind of an asshole. It's not something that I really like to flaunt, but it is something that I like to talk about, because it helps people make an informed decision. If you come from a similar background as me, it's maybe you can take a little bit of that pressure off of yourself. And the other part is people that crumble under pressure that they just can't fucking control. There's just a lot of shit that goes on, and there's stuff in the world nationwide budget cuts, and also a fat freeze in our government that puts pressure on people that is completely outside of their control. So I'm losing my train of thought. I'm just gonna cut this off before I start just rambling more about other shit that could just go in a different video. Also, anyway, that's a good stopping point. But it's something outside of my control that I care about, right? If people are genuine, so to speak, if people are real or authentic, and if people are actually choosing me or wanting to be around me for the sake of me, instead of something else, or they're just fulfilling their own narratives. Are they scared, are they oh, I never knew this area existed. Is this a course too? Oh, it's parkour. Holy shit. Oh. Anyways, the whole point of that was I don't oh. Wow, I spent 20 minutes on that. It's something that's outside of your control. I'm not sure if somebody is being genuine or not, and I don't like that I'm feeling I'm somewhere in between, where I'm I can never be a true in of the friend group, yet they're treating me like a R. It's misleading. I like having closure in the sense that either you are in or you're not. And it's something that I've been approaching my relationships with in general. I'm I've always feel a part of this family. I finally feel included. I'm finally making the progress that's making me feel like I have respect, and not just unconditional love. And at least within my mentorship, or I don't know, I don't want to say even my personal life. I like making informed decisions. I like knowing that if someone holds me close or not, and to what degree. I like knowing what to expect from certain people. I'm at a very unique stage in my life where I finally have just been hanging out with some people for the sake of hanging out with people. I have a set of people that I do, well, I guess I talk about algorithms, competitive programming with, and the CS with, and the general life and the community stuff, and other people who I just live life with, and I just enjoy being in the presence of. We don't even have to talk, and it's enjoyable. And I like having these clear expectations of what to have with each individual, and I've been meeting people that have been leaving me somewhere in between. I've been playing multiple sides. I've been trying to balance being a professional and being a friend, and it's been uncomfortable. And my personalities have been merging, so to speak, or the person that I am, the version of myself, has been merging, so to speak, across these people, across these friend groups, and this professionalism is starting to wear down. And there's a lot of these people that don't have a clear line between professionalism and their personal relationships, and that the professionalism is a medium for their personal relationships, and you're having a lot of these third spaces, and it's an uncomfortable time for me. I don't know if this is like super autistic or not, but it's been weird. But that's about all I have to say about it at the moment. It's mostly just I'm like coming to terms with who you are as an individual, having multiple meanings, wearing many hats, and then also that people are growing. It's all our first times living. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but people are figuring themselves out, trying to figure out who they are with me, trying to figure out who they are with themselves, and it's something which I have to grow a tolerance of. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if I feel uncertain about it, it's just is, honestly. And yeah. Okay, yap over. Bye.